Hello, welcome. This is going to be a special one.
Welcome to what?
I'm sorry.
Welcome to Unscripted Gaming.
Welcome to what?
I'm sorry. Do you guys hear that?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I knew
Uh-oh.
this was coming.
Uh-oh.
Actually,
Time
This
for
gotta-
Josh's.
Oh,
Time for Josh's.
I forgot about this
Time
one.
for Josh. Time for Josh. Time for Josh's. Josh's Tech Minute.
It's so important they had to have double right off the bat.
wow.
Is that our fastest speed run any percent to Tech Minute?
I think
It might be.
I think it is.
Possibly.
I don't think it. There's no way we had a fast one. That's got to be it.
So, we're going to talk
Congratulations.
about, we're going to be timely. We're going to talk about Linus Tech Tips for at least 20 minutes.
Yeah. By the way, and since this is Josh's Tech Minute, I'm Josh with Ray and Mike here.
Hi.
Aye.
Yeah, there's been a kerfuffle on YouTube in
Who is Linus Tech Tips?
Okay,
Who is
do you
that?
want to build a computer? If the answer is yes, do you want some Canadian guy to tell you how to do it? Well, I'm in luck for you. He's like the go-to Canadian you have to tell you how to build a computer. Supposedly, that's where the issue comes in. Not to say that his channel is
Dare I
bad.
say allegedly?
Allegedly, we're gonna be saying that a lot, actually.
Yes.
One. The issue is that Gamers Nexus kind of exposed Linus Tech Tips. He actually did do a damn good job just showing that their channel grew too fast, too fast, and they just make a lot of mistakes. And those mistakes are they're bad and very amateurish mistakes for how many people that they have on staff and how much their website is worth. Their website is rated at being worth $100 million, and they actually rejected a deal to buy their website and their operations for that much money. And some of the mistakes are small, but some of the mistakes are rather serious. And Linus has said some kind of shitty things, we'll say, about correcting those mistakes. And some people, present company like Josh here, will make very important hundreds of dollars worth of purchasing decisions for their PC, sometimes based on what Linus and his crew say, because they're known for being accurate. But if they're making mistakes all the time, how accurate are they? And Gamers Nexus is pointing out, you have a duty, you have a responsibility to get this right because you're known as one of the most accurate reporters of, Gamertech Media. That's a brief synopsis of Linus Tech Tips. And I suppose Josh wants to get into a little bit of the controversy of that.
Yeah. So, and I think I've made it pretty clear on the show here before. I'm a fan of a lot of different tech related YouTube. I consume a lot of that content. Linus Tech Tips being one of the ones that I do the most frequently, mostly because I think they strike a good balance of the entertainment versus the informative. Their daily upload schedule makes sure that there's always something in front of me across multiple channels. It's something I can throw on while I'm cooking or doing something where I don't have to fully pay attention to it, which we'll kind of get back to here in a minute. I've purchased a few items of merch over the years, but I think it is important to kind of roll back a little bit about a year or so ago when Linus Tech Tips announced a pretty massive investment in the company and in their review to create what's now called the LTT Labs, which is essentially a group of people that their sole job is to do testing more in depth than what they traditionally had done. So they did a lot of testing to, like everybody else in the industry to, benchmark new CPUs, benchmark new GPUs, but their vision with the labs was to really have something that could validate, claims from manufacturers and, do keyboard tests and get really fine granular detail, generate, a benchmarking solution that they could get really consistent results across an even wider swath of video games and in a way that they could get it more more rapidly, more frequently when needed. Testing, investments in testing fans and testing noise isolation, testing power supply, really just getting a lot of consumer testing. And something that Linus and Linus Tech Tips have said for a long time is, yes, they are one of the largest tech YouTubes on on the planet, but they are not like necessarily trying to compete or to snuff out the smaller guys. They are just trying to push the conversation forward. Now, here's where the issue where we come in. It's, hey, everybody needs to do better testing, and if you're getting your results from one person, you should be getting your information and you should be validating claims across multiple outlets. So that leads to the kind of the start of the main drama was somebody in the labs made an offhand comment specifically calling out a couple of the smaller YouTube testing sites, Gamers Nexus being one of them, saying, hey, we do this differently because they can't or won't or don't do it, which was partially inaccurate in general, but also, not really getting into what makes those two sites different from Linus Tech Tips in the way that they do their testing, which led to Steve at Gamers Nexus, the tech Jesus, really diving in and pointing out some errors in their reporting over the years, which some of them are small, some of them are large, but the main thing that it boils down to is Linus Tech Tips has gotten to a point where it is so big and moving so fast that regardless of all the data that they have, you can't trust it because little mistakes happen frequently where, they'll say something and they throw up on the screen or in a pinned comment a correction. For somebody like me, I'm not always watching the show, and Steve brings this up in his first video. You may be watching, you may be more listening than watching. So if there's a correction on screen where they say, hey, this CPU has a cache of 99 megabytes, and then they put up on the screen in an asterisk, oh, it's actually, 92 or whatever. I'm as a fan not going to know that because I'm not watching the screen actively at the time. That is information that I am going to not have correct. Now, you can debate all day whether or not knowing that the cache is 96 versus 99 is so critical in a purchasing decision, but it does hurt your credibility when you're going to say, we want to be one of the leading authorities in review, not just an entertainment outlet. And then you're going and you're making errors like that constantly.
It's also the swiping at the smaller channels. That's like so uncalled for.
That seems crazy. Also, like, just for reference, for folks at home who are frantically learning who Linus Tech Tips is, I think that's his birth name.
Yes.
Linus is his birth
We're
name.
talking about a YouTube channel with 15.4 million subscribers here, so that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Just for reference.
Yeah, where
Huge.
and they also have
6,500 videos, by the way.
Yeah. They also they have a pretty large merchandise arm, things that they're manufacturing. They have like really gone and done the work to manufacture themselves. A lot of large corporate sponsors, so they're large. Whereas Gamers Nexus, I think they just crossed the 2 million threshold. And yes, they do have some corporate sponsorships, and yes, they have their own merch. I actually have some Gamers Nexus merch too here in the house. I also support that channel pretty frequently, but we're talking folks on a very different scale here. And it, obviously wasn't Linus that said the statement that really started the whole thing, but it's still just a, boots on the ground, not saying what the head honcho is saying publicly about their view towards other reviewers, other channels, especially when Gamers Nexus has been one of the ones who really started the, rigorous testing in a way, not just looking for, hey, is this computer fast, but like really digging in on manufacturers and on component producers to say, like, is this actually good value for consumers? Are the claims that they're making accurate? You know, and when Gamers Nexus invests $250,000 into a semi-anechoic chamber to do noise testing, it's a very different percentage of their total money that they're putting in than, you know, an LTT doing a $250,000 chamber. You know, it's just, we're talking on different scales here.
Well, let's before we completely nerd out, well, let's get into some of the deeper issues with Linus Tech Tips. Because okay, so Gamers Nexus makes a 45-minute video calling him out. You should watch it. It's not hard to find. Just type in Gamers Nexus LTT. It's the first thing that'll pop up. It's sitting at like 2-3 million views last time I looked.
Yep.
Linus' response to this on his forum, it probably one of the worst ways possible he could have done that. Because he basically says a lot of, so what? Like, this happens, we make mistakes, but our employees love working here. And, well, actually, I'm burying the lead. There was a huge issue that happened. LTT, for a promotion, was given a specific prototype of a specific type of
It was a solid copper or aluminum, a solid wire block that had been manufactured.
Yeah, it's for water cooling, right?
Yeah.
If I remember. Yeah, it was a custom-made water cooling block that cost like $8,000 or something like that.
I think it was a prototype, and I think the MSRP that company is shooting for is like $800 or something like that.
$800, yeah.
The current prototype was valued at around $2,000 when you factor in cost of materials, labor, all that stuff. Now, and again, it's important to note that the company that makes this water block is actually like a small startup with just two dudes who are wanting to get into, you know, high-end custom water cooling.
Yeah, it's whatever. Like, these things exist. It's the American dream. You got to start small. And hey, believe it or not, components that don't come from China are not cheap, especially when you custom make them in the garage yourself. Yep. So shout out to them. They give it to...
They're like the Primer guys, if you ever saw that really boring movie from like 9 years ago.
What movie?
It's called Primer.
No, I never saw that.
It's a movie. It's a time machine movie that people swear is good, but I swear to God, I watched it and it was so boring.
Okay.
Sorry.
Looper, good. I'm just getting that out there. I am a Looper defender.
Looper's good.
Looper is good. Linus gets this. His team gets this. They trash it. They say, "Don't buy this. This is a waste of your time and money." And you know what? That's fine if he has that opinion. Where he screwed up, where he really screwed the pooch, is he took that prototype and he auctioned it off at an event, even though he was supposed to mail it back because it's a prototype for a startup tech company. So when the company, Billet Labs, emailed them back like, "Hey guys, you're gonna send that back? We really need it." Linus is like, "What up, bro? It's gone." "Oh shit. Tell you what, we'll give you your money back." And Billet Labs says, Does our competitor have an item? What did you do? And it was a whole thing. A whole bad thing. Like, I'm laughing.
That's so crazy. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like that exact expression. What do you mean you auctioned it off?
How does that happen? How do you, like...
I mean...
He did that, like, this is... You made this. I made this.
So the LTX auction, you know, they auctioned off a bunch of other things that like had been featured in videos. So it was all of like, hey, these are projects, these are things that we did that were featured in videos. Like there was another YouTuber that came and did this massive steampunky cyberpunk inspired PC that they worked on together. And they auctioned that off. So it was like a bunch of stuff that were featured in LTT videos across the time. And this issue goes back to something that I think like LTT has been trying to address with a few months ago. Linus announced that he was stepping down as CEO because he's like, I'm just a dude who likes making videos, and I shouldn't have been a business administrator for the last 10 years, but as this company has grown to 100+ people, I really shouldn't.
You need a serious,
yes,
not to be like serious business, but
like yes, he needs
the MBA.
Yeah,
guy,
he's like, I need an actual CEO, not just some dumb tech guy. Which I think the Billet Labs is a perfect encapsulation of systems not being in place because the head is moving so fast that they're not stopping to think about how do we really improve our inventory system or make sure that things go where they need to go and don't get lost in the shuffle. In addition to, like, part of the issue with that video too is that this water block was designed for like a 3090 Ti that Billet Labs had sent with it, but that card got lost. They didn't have a 3090 Ti somehow, so they just tested it with the wrong graphics card trying to make it work. And it was a whole big kerfuffle. Then
it gets better. It somehow gets dumber.
On that topic, hey, why did we not fully test it properly? Linus on his weekly podcast said, I don't want to spend another $100 to $500 of an employee's time retesting something when I know that the answer is going to be the same.
When you make literally tens of millions of dollars a year, like, based on your accuracy of tech, that sounds so callous. And I think, Josh, you and I talked about this a couple nights ago.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure he meant it a different way, but that is an insanely callous thing to say.
See,
listen, guys, here's what my full-time employment is making, and here's why I'm not going to do that. Here's why you guys don't deserve that. Here, I spit on you. That's what it comes.
So, of all of the things in this last week of the issues and the drama and whatnot, this is about the only thing I will actually be like, this is semi-defensible. Just the way he said it sucks, because his thesis is like, even if I took the time to tell somebody, hey, don't do another part of your job, redo this part, and the result is 20-30 degrees cooler, it doesn't matter how much better the result is by using the correct product. Spending $800 on this bespoke solution that may not ever even become a product is a foolish thing to do, because you can go buy a product for $100, $150, even $300 that performs the same or better as it. Because also, it's not just him spending $100 to $500 on an employee's time. That's also that employee who has other things that they may want to work on, who then has to be told, hey, don't go work on this other project that you want to go work on. Sit down and do this testing over again on something that we already know. Now, in a world where you're trying to be one of the most trusted, truthful, accurate testing sites, I can see where you might need to then say, you know what, we just have to bite the bullet and do it again.
Yeah.
But when you are in the loosey-goosey entertainment space, you can just say, like, hey, I don't care what the result is, unless it is 80 degrees cooler, which based on their own testing results isn't the case. This product is not something that I would recommend to anybody unless you know these people, or you are a CNC enthusiast, or you really like to dig into the engineering, or you want it as a memorabilia piece. But like, your average consumer should not buy this thing, period. Like, I understand that. I just think the way he worded it is, ruffles some people the wrong way of like, oh, he's just penny pinching. But people also forget, like, spending time on an employee is also that employee spending their own time on something they may not want to do.
We will get to spending time on employees in a second. Yeah, you put a pin in that, why don't
Yep.
you?
Yep.
Right there. So he releases an apology video. It goes over poorly because it was shot in literally less than a day. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to get clout. It was like 18 hours later from like incident point. There's an apology video. It's highly scripted. They make some
Love
points.
an apology video.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's the stereotypical YouTuber
love
apology video, complete with Linus
Sad
getting close to
face.
crying. Yeah, he
Oh,
gets close to crying. Yeah, he has
Yep.
it all. We got it all.
Let's go.
Don't worry.
Let's
They
go.
still sneak in a couple. Oh, hey, we're gonna have a sponsor throw, which they don't actually do, but it's there. They throw in a lttstore.com and a product
yeah.
plug, and they make sure to
Grind
slip
set,
in
baby.
one little small sex joke because it wouldn't be LTT without a 69 joke.
You have to have it. Yeah, with
I'm-
Luke going nice.
I'm pretty
Like,
sure
my
they're
man, this is not the time. Why are you doing this?
Canadian law dictates that the LTT must have a sex joke.
It was a weird apology video. Like first of all, like the CEO that they got in front of it, I get why you wanted the new CEO there, but my man had no camera presence at all. Just zero. None. And that's not his job. I get it. He's not supposed to have camera presence. But you couldn't ask him to read more from a teleprompter the way he's like, "Hello, my name is insert name here, and I
Taryn.
represent Linus Tech Tips Media. And we have to say that was a bad week.
Yep.
So we are going to work on improving this week
I
going
wish
forward."
I wish we were meeting under different circumstances. Yeah, buddy, I bet you do. Cuz he is 6 weeks on the job and this is exploding in their face.
He's like, "Oh man," just dabbing sweat away with a handkerchief, like, "It hasn't even been a quarter."
I could have picked any other YouTuber.
I could have went to
I could've
I could have went with Marquez.
So their apology video comes out, and I would say, is it reasonable to say like only 25% of his audience likes it? Because he starts losing premium subscribers on his float plane service even after the apology video. Like, you can see a trend line of it still going down. No one was buying it. They did say they were going to stop making content for 1 week, which is big because Linus Tech Tips puts out a YouTube video every single day minimum, which is not good. You know that's a burnout culture. You already know.
Yep.
Because they're really high quality videos, and every single day, that's nuts. So they said, okay, we're going to take a week. We're going to get our house in order. We're going to stop making all these little mistakes. What happens on Twitter.com? Former LTT employee comes up and says, all right, the time is ripe. I have to tell you guys a story. Working with Linus Media Group was actually one of the worst things in my life. And they describe how it was an incredibly misogynistic environment.
Really? Wow.
Mike is like,
This
I'm
is
shocked.
shocking to me. Somebody making a 69 joke in their apology video, and you're telling me this is a misogynistic work.
You know, when you put it that way. She talked about how they were constantly on burnout and grind. She was a social media manager, and she had to put out 3 TikTok videos, 2 tweets, and 3 other social media posts every single day. There are people I follow, or people that my wife follows on Instagram, that don't put out a reel every single day. So that's insane. People don't do that. They don't have the time. Imagine putting out 3 highly produced ones that have to get signed off and represent the company, and you have to budget it. That's nuts. So now Linus Media Group, you could go to their career page. You can see they have a whole team of people to do what they used to ask one person to do. She was not allowed to make use of her days off because they were under constant threat of like, oh yeah, you have unlimited days off, but don't you use it? Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. She tells a harrowing, horrifying tale where she says, and I don't, real talk for a second. If she needs the mental health, I hope she gets it. But I can understand how this was a very serious matter, and I'm so sad that she felt this way. She one point says in her little reveal on Twitter that she had to cut open her leg with a bladed object just so someone at work, her boss, would take her serious when she said, I have to go to the hospital, because she needed something else to get checked. And she was afraid to ask for the time off.
Yep.
She was afraid they would only blood would give them the ability to take it seriously, which is sucks.
Yep.
And
when it also
That,
it sounds like, you know, there was not beyond all that stuff too. There was some, you know, she was lived some, I think in like Arizona or something. Like she was an American who moved to Canada for this job. And you know, she had a small YouTube presence. She had some stuff going on beforehand, and you know, leading up, it was like, oh yeah, you know, you're still able to do things on your own independently. You know, things that you do related that are separate from LTT will be honored and whatnot. You know, there was a lot of stuff that was promised up front, and then it was like when you know you get there on site, it's like, oh, actually, none of that's the case. Everything belongs to us. You're not going to get to monetize your own YouTube channel right now. Like, you know, there was a big, she says basically there's a fear of people gaining an audience and then leaving and then, you know, becoming competitors, which, you know, she was featured very early on in some of their tech quickies and other things. And then, you know, all of a sudden she was conspicuously absent for a while before she left.
they kind of pulled the whole like, hey, did you sign an apartment lease? Cool. Hey, that's a nice work visa you got there. We should make sure that stays good and valid, right?
super cool.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Definitely not like
coercive.
employment, like harassment 101 stuff
Oh.
right there. Just love that. Great.
She says she's tried to constantly bring up to her bosses like her issues, and she was told, her quote, not mine, pull up your big girl pants, and also you're the social media manager, you have the fun job. As in like,
Oh, that's
You're-
not the
you're-
real job. Oh, okay.
Yeah, your job's not real, or hey, since you have the fun job, like you don't get to complain because the rest of us are doing real work, kind of thing.
If anything, like, sorry not to like diverge here, but
no, please.
if you're a YouTube channel, that's like having people find out about your YouTube channel is arguably the most important, the part that needs to go really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're
'Cause that's how you make it.
yeah, because
Quote, unquote, like-
you know, the YouTube algorithm is very fickle. So like, if you're not growing, you know, especially when you are hiring the way that LTT has in the last few years and grown to 100+ employees across a bunch of business divisions, like, you know, you gotta keep the income coming.
Right, exactly. Like, and that's what it's about, like building an audience and grow. And of course, I'm sure the expectation is like continued growth ad infinitum, as always. But like,
As always.
that's what like social media is for, is to discover that. So it's so wild to dismiss that. Okay, but
Your job's not
well,
important.
also first, two things. One, I think this person seeing all this stuff kind of boil in and then like being able to drop this, that
Mhm.
must have felt so good. Shout out to them. That
Yeah,
rocks, honestly.
I hope they got the catharsis
Like
that
this
they
is
needed.
like Miami Heat LeBron James coming in to like dunk a Dwayne Wade alley-oop or something. Just
Yep.
beautiful lob the jam situation.
Well, and you know, I'll let you go with number 2 first, but
so I still can't get over the auction thing. That's stealing. What the
So
fuck?
There's more to that. There is more to that. During their apology video, where they said, listen, we contacted Billet Labs and told them we will reimburse them and make them whole for literally however much they say it's worth. And during that part of the video, they show the email that they sent to Billet Labs. As part of the NDA Linus Tech Tips Media Group signed with Billet Labs, they were never supposed to show that price on screen. But they did it during the apology video. Literally, constant L's
Also-
all the way down.
also semi-related to that, the reason that Billet Labs was like, oh, we never got contacted about this is because the person who did the contacting from LTT didn't actually include Billet Labs' email. They had some other internal folks CC'd on it, but they did not have the actual email going to Billet Labs. Like, they forgot to just add that in the sender field.
Sorry. Sorry about your guy. So
That's so crazy. How do
Yeah.
you not know how to send email? I'm sorry. Like,
in a tech company,
one of the, here's the secret, folks. One of the most important things you learn in growing up, just like growing up in general, I don't care if you go to like technical school or you get a GD or like you learn how to send an email. Like that's
Yeah.
literally the most important skill you learn from college is send an email. Like that's it. Like it's send email. And
especially
how
when
do you
there's
how do you make email mistakes?
And I
How does
think
that happen?
I
That's
think
so
it's
crazy.
and I think it boils down to like the pressure from up top and just from the people who've been there a long time, who've been there since they were just, 5 people shoved in a house together, and, Linus's wife had quit her job, was working to support them and hoping that this would, be something of like, it is that they have not gotten over the we have to grind to survive mindset from their small startup day, their small early YouTube days. And like, that is something that has still permeated the culture and permeated the folks at the top to the point where they have not taken the time to slow down and reflect or realize that, like, yes, they're still a small company in terms of our like global conglomerate, but like, they're not small anymore.
no.
They're a 100-person company that got a $100 million offer that, gets millions of views a week. Like, they are not. Yes, Linus is responsible for feeding a lot of people, but missing a video here or there or taking the time to like properly send an email is not going to ruin the company.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. They're crunched as hell. They would have to be for a video every single day. That's nuts. Okay, there's one more thing, and I was saving it. It's like I pull out my hidden Derringer revolver type of thing. Linus is anti-union. There's some video surfacing of him just a couple days ago where a chatter asked him during a WAN stream, weekly whatever.
Weekly analysis and news. It's WAN, they call
WAN.
it. The WAN
WAN.
show.
I'm gonna dead name it to
I like
WAN.
WAN.
I like
WAN.
the WAN show. So during that show, Chatter asked him, "Hey, Linus, what's your thoughts on unions?" He's like, "Well," and it's like, "Ah, here we go." And he says, "I don't love them. I think they're fine. They're legally required by like the country of Canada and the state that he lives in." He says, "But here's my thoughts," and I couldn't believe I heard this, but I also believe I heard this. He says, if I feel that my employees need to form a union, and it's because me and my wife have failed because they feel they can't come talk to us. It's like, yeah, I don't, maybe it's not about you, my man. Maybe it's just about employee protections. This is before the whole social media former employee thing blew up. And so another person says, well, what are the protections that they're offered? We're like, well, we hire a third-party HR company, which is fine. It says, but what I also tell all my employees is, if you have an issue, you come to me. If you don't have an issue, you go to Josh. What's the name of Linus's wife? Help me out here.
Yvonne.
Yvonne. You go to Yvonne, and if neither of us can help you, then what is it we can do for you? So it's like, wait a minute, Linus. Wait a minute. They have to go to either you or your goddamn wife. That's
The
their
person. Oh yeah, let me take my like HR complaint to the person whose name is on the building. That usually goes well. That's great. That's a great way to handle problems and has no perceivable problems with that. That's a great idea.
He gave a very boilerplate. Yes, exactly. He gave a very boilerplate response of, if my company tried to unionize, I would have to let them. Me and Yvonne would sometimes joke that, haha, it's easier for me and you to get a divorce than it is for us to fire our employees. And it's like, eyebrow raising, like, my man, that's a good thing.
Get over it.
Yep. And again, that is one of those too, like somebody who has come into money and wants to have leverage, but also again, it is a holdover of a time when they were 5 people who basically all had the same response. Like, again, LMG is a fairly large media organization now. Like, there are people there who work there that Linus has even admitted on the WAN show that, like, he doesn't know. He's never met before. It is one thing when there are 5 or 6 of you and you're all pretty close and you all know each other very well, when you have an issue to go to the CEO, because, you know, what does that mean when you have 10,000 subscribers? But, like, when you are an organization like that, there's just, it is, again, holding over a mindset from when you are smaller, when you are scrappier, when you are hungrier than you are now, and not fully admitting or understanding the realities of how things have changed. Like,
running a business.
yeah, like, and again, they've taken the steps to try and remediate some of that by bringing in an actual chief executive. But also,
I hate to sound reductive, but like bringing an adult into the room,
yeah,
to try to stop.
But I mean,
this.
that's what Google did. Like, you know, Larry and Sergey brought in Eric Schmidt because the investors were like, you guys really need an adult to, like, run this company, because now you guys are all multi-gajillionaires, but you're still idiot college kids and you don't know what you're doing. And, like, that happens a lot. And, you know, I think it might be, you know, don't know if it's going to be too little too late just because of how far things have gotten, you know, but
I got a new update for you, Josh. The social media manager, her name is Madison.
Madison, yep.
On the apology video, anyone that brings up her name or the issues that she's going through, LTT is deleting all the comments mentioning her name or mentioning any of the social media issues. Which rocks. That rules. That's totally like, that's what a normal company does.
Things are famously going well if you're deleting comments and posts. And that's a losing war, because as soon as the posters find out the posters are disappearing, they will outpost you. You cannot defeat posters.
That seems like one of those things that, like, LTT, LMG, Linus, whoever's made, like, that, they should know better. They I mean, unless the organization that they've brought in to do the investigation has somehow suggested they do that, or if YouTube is doing that, like, on their behalf, like, maybe, but, like, they should know that they are Streisand affecting that hardcore. I mean,
I can't imagine that anyone would tell them, like, here's what you do. You try to bury this.
Yeah, it ain't going.
You beat this in the back of the head.
Madison hasn't worked at LTT for a couple years now. Like, she came on around right before or during COVID. Like, I think you might have been actually during COVID, because I think there was some difficulty getting her there because of visas and travel restrictions at the time, whatnot. And she was only there for like 8 months. But people have been, you know, she has gotten a lot of stuff constantly about trying to find, you know, get her to open up about what happened. You know, she's really cagey about what happened. And then the pièce de résistance of all of that was after Madison let out her tweet thread, somebody anonymously posted a video they recorded of a virtual all hands meeting that LTT had after that situation, talking about, you know, an unnamed employee with issues, after Linus had said basically, you know, he didn't really know anything about what was happening to her, especially in the harassment area, saying, you know, hey, when you have issues, this is what I want you, you know, go to the person. If you can't go to the person, go to your supervisor. If you can't go to your supervisor, go to me or Yvonne in this meeting. And then somebody there makes a sex joke as they're talking about this in the meeting as they're getting off. And, you know, just, I don't know. I've lost a lot of respect in the organization. I still hope that there's a way that they can figure this out. I don't know how you come back from it. You know, I also try and remember that there are
Oh, radio got a little mixed up.
Yeah, here we go. You know, there are 100 people who work at this organization, some of who are very just normal people who have had nothing to do with this other than working at a place that they've wanted to because they've been fans or they know that this is a way to, you know, get their name in the YouTube space. So, you know, I'm not one of the weird internet nerds who's like, oh my God, Linus did nothing wrong. I'm also not one of the trolls who's like, down with LTT, get rid of it forever. But
imagine being one of their employees is just like the QA guy. They just do quality assurance. Imagine just being that guy, just like in the corner in the office, just be like, ah.
He's like, everybody else is gonna get a lighter schedule except me.
Yeah.
My job is about to get 10 times harder. And you know, I think that there was also a very, like, this could have gone a very different way. And I think Linus, being such an involved creator and owner and so emotionally responding on the forum, really is the thing that did. Yes, I mean, the shitty situation, the shitty working conditions, like, that is something that does need to be addressed. But I think his response on the forum was really the thing that did them in. Because a week ago on the WAN show, they were literally talking about ways to address some of the little inconsistencies and nuances and, like, trying to figure out ways to do more, you know, fact checking and bringing in, because they're like, we touch so many things, it's impossible for everybody on staff to be a expert in everything we do. So how do we work to not only better internally validate our data, our claims, and what we say, but then how do we crowdsource, like, hey, if there's an expert in the audience who says, you know what, actually this process is done this way, how do we get them to get that information to us and then rapidly make a change, whether or not that we need to, you know, put a correction up on screen or even just recut part of the video where we use that information. Like, that's something that was on their radar, and they just reacted so viscerally to getting called out by somebody who is so respected in the hardware review space that I think they really, you know, signed their own, you know, at least their own reduction warrant, if not death warrant, because, again, you know, they took criticism that they were leveling on themselves from somebody else very poorly.
I want to, so if I had an ending thought, I think that Linus has forgotten what it means just to not be, because I'm not trying to, like, be insulting. I mean this when I say this. Linus sells products that are just about hyper capitalism. Like, you have way more money than you know what to do with, and you're trying to make the best build of a computer that you know how. And so all of their products and all their reviews are about that type of thing. Like their screwdriver, like their backpack, like their other stuff. That stuff is really expensive because the type of people that buy it want to buy it for the reasons I noted. It's for, like, I have way more money to make this very small piece of my life a little bit better. But it never stops. Like, he never stops that, like, money grind. To the point where, this was just sent to me, his apology video was originally on his secondary website, which is Floatplane, which is their YouTube competitor, right? They paywalled that video, so you had to be a Floatplane subscriber to see it at first. And when someone asked them directly, and I can send this to you, Josh, when will this video be on YouTube so I could share it with people who don't have Floatplane? Here is Linus on Floatplane responding, I could publish it at any time, but I thought it would give it the good old Floatplane folks a bit of early access, like the good old days, to say thanks for sticking around while everyone else can wait with bated breath. I really appreciate you guys for not jumping to conclusions. Signed, LS, which is Linus. Guys, he's too deep. He's far gone. He's done. Like, I know you're saying this can be salvaged. Yeah. Like, if he's gonna paywall his apology video, that's it. There's nothing helping you, my
That
man.
rocks. Honestly,
Yeah.
no, I'm back on board now. That's
Yeah,
cool.
no, Mike is now gonna be the LTT stand in this group. Like he is. Mike. I'm gonna pack up my screwdriver and my hoodie, and I'm gonna send that to you, and you can take on that mantle now.
Yeah, just the dark energy of. I'm just gonna put the apology video behind the paywall. That rocks. That's so sweet.
No!
I'm sorry, that kicks ass. There's no
Well,
that
I
just
don't-
what a cool guy. I love
I don't
that.
know because I pay for YouTube Premium, but did he monetize the apology video on YouTube? Were there ads?
Yes. There were no.
Yes.
There were no. So I have
We're
YouTube.
so
I have
back.
YouTube Red, but I did see that video had been bad monetized, which Steve said in his video calling out LTT because he's like, I'm calling out a fellow creator. I'm calling out somebody I know. Like, I'm not monetizing this video. I'm not getting a sponsor. Like, this
The
is
Gamers
just.
Nexus video
yeah.
was not monetized. Who's the better human in this situation? It's not
Tech
Linus. It's
Jesus
just
for the win.
never stop grinding. That grind
Right.
always happens.
Go get your Gamers Nexus mod mat. gnstore.net. Just go get it right now. Just go get it. Fucking Steve for the win.
He's got the props. He's got the props.
I was ready to go, baby.
I will say this situation, I used to have like
I gotta roll
pretty
this back
negative
up.
opinions about Linus for something that I told Josh and Mike, but I can't get into here. But now I feel so vindicated knowing I've been right all this time that this guy has always just been like
Kind of shitty.
wildly unprofessional is the way I recognize
This
him
is a
as.
real thing. So my wife, she had a long time
Mhm.
distrust and like I don't like Matt Lauer's vibe. Just like she just didn't appreciate him. Just like not appreciate, but just like I just didn't like it. I'm like, I don't know, whatever, he's fine, I guess.
Mhm.
And she's like, I don't know. And then we learned that he literally had a button on his desk to lock the door so he could Me Too people.
Yeah,
And by Me Too, I mean like harass and assault people.
yeah.
Don't meet your heroes, folks. They're all shitty.
Yeah. So just
Hold it.
sometimes you're right about that stuff is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes go with your gut.
You get the bad feeling. You get bad vibes from somebody. Okay, that was like I said 20 minutes. It actually ended up being
Yeah.
50 minutes of don't. It's important.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
he's
yeah,
he's a small creator. I get told by all sorts of like not Josh in particular. I want to get that out of the way. I get told all the time by Linus stands that he's great. His reviews are great. His employees are happy, and it's like. No, the rot is set in. That house is about to crumble. Termites has eaten the foundation. That stuff was sitting on plywood, guys.
Why are you riding? I'm not gonna say something so foul.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
I
gonna
already
say-
know what Mike is
I-
going to say.
Why are you riding for the tech YouTuber like this when you could
Well, yeah.
ride this hard for Christ? You know what I mean?
Stop.
We are a godless society now. These people need to be tithing and paying indulgences. That's
You
what
know,
these people
you
need to
know,
be doing
you, and you
instead
know
of-
where you know
the
where you
tech
can
YouTubers.
can find Christ.
Rachel was right.
You know where you can find Christ?
Oh
Where?
God.
Tell
Oh,
me.
God.
Unscriptedgaming.com.
That is
Let's
not
go.
where you can find.
Monetize, baby.
Yeah, you can get links to all of our amazing podcasts where we're not in the grind set and we just have fun and we are happy here having a good time. Making all of our content, even the ones that are on pause right now because we stand with unions.
We're an explicitly anti-grind set podcast.
Yeah.
to be clear.
We record once
Yeah.
when the vibes are right.
Be on your phone at work.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so
It's okay.
So you gotta follow us on the socials to know when we decide the vibes have been right. That's why you can go to Facebook to the Unscript Game Podcast. You can go to Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, at unscript_gaming. You can follow
How
all of
dare
our
you.
audio versions of our podcast across all the podcatchers. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Mike.
My name is Ray.
Peace.